Welcome YouTube, I'm back and today's video will be about what you need to know about planning a wedding. Now, I will leave a link in the description section below of my wedding so you guys can get an idea of, how you would like your wedding. Now, I have been married for 4 years and June 29th, 2021 will make 4 years of our marriage, and we already have a little 1-year-old daughter, and I'm 32 weeks. Yes, I am 32 weeks pregnant with our second daughter. So, I'm making this helpful video to help those out there who is planning their wedding, so they'll have an idea of what they need to know. So, number one thing, before we start all this planning process, make sure you go to a nearby courthouse near you and grab the paperwork so you'll have it all in place during this planning process. So, the paperwork for your wedding is very important. And, I know there's people from all across the world that, watch YouTube, and I know that everybody's, court system is different. So make sure you speak to a courthouse near you of, of the steps of finalizing your marriage. So kept that short. So the number one thing when you are planning your wedding, you need to know your budget. Now, if I'm going to go down a list. I'm going to go over 14 things, but number one, we're going to talk about the budget you need for your wedding. Number two is going to be the number of guests you plan to invite. Number three will be your wedding theme. Number four will be your ceremony order. Number five will be your reception order. Number six will be the type of music you want. Number seven will be for the language. For those who are, marrying outside their culture, you guys might want to decide on your language. The climate, the weather of your wedding day, I'm going to go more in depth in that. Where your wedding will be held, number 9. And number 10, when will your wedding be held? Number 11 will be invitations. Number 12 will be wedding rehearsal dinner. Number 13 will be the bridal shower / groom shower. I'm going to go more in depth in that. They call it bachelorette parties or bachelor parties, whatever you want to call it. That was number 13. Number 14 will be your wedding registry. I'm going to go more in depth in that. And, these lists of things that I am talking about are a lot of things that you will need to consider when you are planning your wedding. So, number one, we're going to go over your budget. Now, I know, there's people from all different social classes, the rich people or people who are just, privileged or something. The budget won't really be an issue for you. But if you are on the average level or the middle class, like me, or the budget will be a huge issue, and you and your spouse or your fiance needs to go over and talk about your budget. So let's say, for example, you guys want to spend X amount of dollars for this wedding. You guys will make that decision. Now we're going to go more in depth with the budget. The total cost for the wedding. I'm going to say, for example, some people may say, hey, I just want to spend $10,000 on my wedding or something. They don't want to be too extravagant. They just want to keep things to the bare minimum, or less than that. It's all based on your budget. Number one thing that's most important, if you have a certain budget, if you're on like a little tight budget, make sure your building cost is covered. So, up under the wedding cost, you will have to think about the building cost, the your decorations, your food, your limo, your hotel, and your wardrobe. So I'm going to touch on the building costs. If anything, make sure that that building for your wedding is secured, because if you don't have that building secured, then you might as well say you don't have no wedding. But if you, whatever you do, book your building, build your building, so you can lock in that date for your guests. Most important, your decorations. Decide if you want to be exclusive with your decorations. If you want to hire a group of people to do your decorations, you want to be all fancy and all that good stuff. Your food, decide on what type of food you want. Do you want Jamaican food? Do you want American food? Do you want the whole world? Do you want Indian food? Do you want African food? I don't know. Decide on what type of food you want to have at your wedding. Your limo is optional. I mean, do you want all your bridesmaids, groomsmen, and the bride and groom and all their family inside of a limo? Decide if you want a limo at your wedding. The hotel costs, if you guys want to if you, the groomsmen, bridesmaids, and whoever wants to get prepped into the hotel or something, right before the wedding, and you know, and all that good extra stuff, just take that in consideration. Or if you decide to cut that cost and you guys just go to, a relative's house and y'all get prepped, you guys do your own thing with that. You either have a hotel, or the brides and groomsmen could just go to a friend's house and get prepped. Um, your wardrobe, most definitely, the cost of the bride's dress you need to take into consideration, and the groom's tuxedo. Those are the two main things. Now, also, you might have like a best man. You got to think about their outfit, and the maid of honor, matron of honor, the bridesmaids, flower girls, or if you got a junior bride or a little princess, or in your wedding, you might have to coordinate their outfits as well. Also, consider the little junior groom as well. Also, you might have a ring bearer or a Bible boy that you want to coordinate their little tuxedos. That's everyone, unless you have a group of people that's willing to pay for their own attire, that will really help out. um you know Also consider your makeup artist. Are you going to hire a professional makeup artist to do the bride's makeup, to do the the basically, the maid of honors makeup, and everybody else's makeup who's walking into the wedding, the bridesmaids, if you're going to have a professional to do the junior bride or the little princess's makeup, those are things you need to take into consideration. So some people, they just hire a family member that's just heck of a good makeup artist, and they just let them do their makeup and stuff. So these are a lot of things to consider. Another thing, what you could also consider, is the cameraman cost. Now, some people may spend like, a huge amount of money for a very, very professional cameraman. You got to really consider all these costs when you are talking about a budget of a wedding, because everybody's wedding is different. Everybody, goes about things differently. But if you're really trying to plan a certain kind of wedding, these are the things to really consider. Um, Now we just covered the budget of your wedding. Um, Now, and another thing I want, before we end the budget section, I want you guys who are on the average level, that to also consider that after this wedding, you will have to live. You will have to have, a roof over your head. You will have to have keep food on the table. Make sure to make a reasonable budget. I've seen people that spent a whole mortgage on the wedding, and then after the wedding, they're just like, flat broke. Don't put yourself in that situation. I wouldn't recommend that. If you were on the average level like me, if you weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth, or anything, or if you don't have a group of people that's going to help you, contribute towards this little wonderful wedding that you're trying to pay for, you really need to consider a decent budget. So after you pay for your wedding, you will be able to get that house or get whatever you need. You won't be, so please just, make a reasonable budget for you and your spouse or fiance. So I just want to clear that up for my average folks out there. Don't, don't spend no mortgage on no wedding. You got to live afterwards, and you have to live. So now, enough with the budget. We covered the budget part. Now, number 2 is you need to know the number of guests that you plan to invite. So, if you're planning on having an average size wedding, or, you might say, hey, I want to invite 100 guests, or I might want to have 200, 300 guests. It's based on whatever you want. If you want a big extravagant wedding, you might want to invite, 500 or 600 guests. It's all based, this all ties back to your budget. Also, the number of groomsmen, you might want to say, hey, I'm not really a social person. I might want 4 groomsmen, 4, number of bridesmaids. I might want 4 bridesmaids, or the number of flower girls. I might want 2 flower girls, Also, the number of junior brides and junior grooms and princesses. Okay, so in the Haitian culture, they have a princess. She's more like I would say she's similar to a junior bride. And she's like, it's something that, their culture does. So, you might want to have a little princess in your wedding. They normally range from the age of like 9 years old to like 16 or something. But, sometimes, that's just a cultural thing that they do. You might want to have a princess in your wedding, or you might want to have a junior bride and junior groom. I've seen weddings where, they have they might have a little 7-year-old boy and a little 7-year-old girl dress up like a little bride, and then the 7-year-old boy dress up like a groom or something. You might want to have one of those, or and those are some things you need to consider when you're planning your wedding. What all you want and the number of people that you want walking in your wedding. So and now we're on, so that covered number 2. Number 2 was the number of guests you plan to invite. Number 3 is the theme of your wedding. Now, okay, for my wedding, my theme was mostly lavender. So, lavender and silver and stuff. So, the groomsmen had on silver, and the bridesmaids had on lavender and stuff like that. So, you need to think about the theme of your wedding. Would you like even a little princess wedding, like, like Cinderella type wedding? Decide on what theme that you would want for your wedding. So, long story short, decide the color scheme. What color schemes you would like to have. Would you like it to be blue and white, or, it's whatever the bride wants. So that we're just going to stay short on the theme, because that's something that goes along with the decorations. Now we're on number 4. And number 4 is the ceremony order. So basically the order you want everyone to march out during your ceremony. Now, for example, my wedding, I had it was my parents, my mom and my grandpa, because then it was my Then it was, my in-laws, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law that walked out. You're going to see that wedding in the description section below. I really recommend that y'all sit down and watch it so y'all can get some ideas of what y'all want for y'all wedding or how y'all want y'all wedding. And then after my parents and the groom's parents came out, that we had like the bridesmaids and groomsmen come out together. They marched out together. And then, the next person that came out after the bridesmaids and groomsmen was the princess. Or, in the place of the princess, you might want to put like a junior bride and junior groom. It's based on your preference. And then it was like then it was the best men, and then the maid of honor and the matron of honor. And then it was the ring bearer. Normally in weddings there'd be ring bearers, but since I'm Seventh-day Adventist, we use a little Bible boy because our religion and all that good stuff. So yeah, you might want to get like a little ring bearer, or if you're Seventh-day Adventist like me, you get a little Bible boy and you have him walk down the aisle. And then after the Bible boy walked down the aisle, I had like the flower girls come out, and then like the flower girls came out right before me. So then after the flower girls, then I came out. My father passed away when I was 17, so we had to use my grandfather in place of my father. So he walked me down the aisle for my wedding. So I was just giving you an idea of an order of how you would probably have your ceremony order for those who are new to this. So okay, we already covered number 4, the ceremony order. Now we're on the reception order, and it's maybe something similar. How do you want everybody who walks in the wedding to enter your reception? How do you want your reception to look? This all ties to what I was saying. You might want everybody coming in reverse order. You might want to, so, you have your own preferences. That is something that you talk about. So let's keep that short. Let's keep that short. It's something a little bit similar. So now we're on music. Number 6 is music. You might want to have some nice little graceful music for your ceremony, and then you might want to have some club music for your reception order. I'm not here to judge you. You have your own preference. So, you do what fits you. So, I'm going to keep things short on the music. Decide on the music. Decide on who you want to sing at your wedding. Decide on who will walk out on what song. There is a lot of things when it comes down to a wedding. Also, for those people who are marrying somebody who is not a part of their culture, like for example, I'm a Black American. The only language I speak is English. The only language my family speaks is just English. But my husband, on the other hand, is from Haiti. So, they speak Creole and French. So these are the language that you want spoken at your marriage. So, you might want to have what language do you want your pastor to speak, where everybody at your wedding will understand the message. So what type of, and the language also goes along with the music. What type of music you want to play? Do you want to play some Creole music? Do you want to play some English music? 6 and 7 could go hand in hand, because these are things you need to think about. What language, or if you're a Spanish couple, you might be a American, and you might get with a Spanish person, and their whole family might just speak Spanish. You know what I'm saying? And you got to decide on the language that you need to use to get your point across. Or you might find yourself using 2 different pastors. You might have one to speak English, and you might have one on the other end that's translating. So these are some things, because we're in a multicultural world, and especially over here in the U.S., we're a melting pot. We have people marrying people from different races and different cultures. So, you need to find out what language that you want preached to at your wedding, depending on, well, that's something that's very, very important. So, language, you know, because if your family speaks English and your spouse's family speaks Creole, then you're gonna need a translator. So most definitely. Um, so now that was number 7, language. Number 8 is the climate. Now this only applies to those who are having weddings outside. If you're having a wedding on a beach, or if you're having a wedding in your backyard, or just outside in general, you need to know the weather. Because if there is a freaking tornado coming and y'all done plant your wedding, you book your date, you got your guests outside, well, guess what? All the decorations gonna be flying around or whatever, what have you. So, if it's going to thunder or lightning, will rain be pouring on everybody? The bride's makeup gonna be all drizzling away. Her whole expensive dress gonna get messed up. The climate and the weather is something that's very important. Number 8. So if you having a little outside wedding, you need to check the news, check your cell phone, check your weather app, and find out what the world your weather gonna be, or you gonna have one jacked up wedding. So, I just highly recommend that people don't do outside weddings. But if it's a preference for y'all, that's that's the bride's preference, is what the bride wants. I ain't here to judge you. You do what you want, but really consider that weather, especially if you're in a climate where the weather is just crazy. So, oh my goodness, we just going down the line today. So, again, we're on number 9. Where your wedding will be held. So, would you like to have your wedding at a church? Would you like to have it at a rec center? Would you like to have it at a beach, a backyard, or a hotel? These are the things that you need to figure out what you want. There's probably people that's not that religious, and they say, hey, I just want to go to my simple little rec center and just go on and plan myself, like, one of them rec center halls. They have them all across the world. So, hey, I want to just rent out this rec center. I just want to have something simple, do all my decorations there, do my ceremony and reception all at this little rec center for just, whatever price they offer. So, that is some things that you guys need to consider. The most definitely your if you want to go ahead and go to a hotel, you say, hey, I don't want to have it at no church. I want to go ahead and have it at a hotel, so everybody will be at one place. Everybody come from their rooms, the bridesmaids, groomsmen, and everybody participating in the wedding. They just come out one room. We join in this little fancy little hall. We keep everything in one place and just get it done. So, these are some things. Where would your, or if you just old fashioned like me, and have it at a church. And then there's some people that have 2 different buildings for their wedding. One building might be at the church, and then they might have a rec center for their reception. So these are things you really need to consider where your wedding will be held. So that will be number 9. So number 10 is when your wedding will be held. Knowing the date and the time for your wedding, you need to know, hey, do I want to have it on a Saturday? Do I want to have it on a Sunday? I would just really recommend that you have your wedding on a day where people aren't your family members won't be working, or it's a decent time for them, so you can have all your guests come, or a good amount of people come. So please, hey, I want to have it on Saturday from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. or something, a decent time frame. Or I want it on a Sunday from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Think about these times when you want your wedding to be held. So now we're on number 11. I'm telling you, this is a long list of things that you guys really need to consider when you're planning your wedding. Because if you aren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth and you're not able to hire a wedding planner, and you're planning this by yourself, you and your spouse, well, these are some things you guys need to consider. Because, planning weddings honestly can be very stressful. So number 11 would be invitations. What type of invitations you guys want to mail out? Would you like little fancy invitations with you and your spouse on it? Or would you just like a little plain invitation that it just cuts clean, dry, and straight to the point about your wedding? So, it's you can most definitely go to a little drugstore near you. A few important things you need to know when you are sending out invitations for your wedding. Make sure that you mail out your invitations at least 30 to 60 days in advance. And the reason why I say this, once you book your date, it takes time for, mail to go out to wherever you need to go. And especially if you're mailing out to, like, let's say, for example, another country, mail gets delayed, things happen. So if you're just mailing out invitations traditionally through the mail, make sure you mail out your invitations 30 to 60 days in advance. Now, if you have like local family, whatever, that are, close by or something, you might mail it out, a little bit last minute. But if everybody is like spaced out 30 to 60 days in advance. And then leading up to your wedding, make sure you send out text messages or emails to your family member at least 7 to 14 days before the wedding, so you can make sure that the people who are saying that they are coming are actually coming. So those are some things when it deals with invitations I would definitely recommend. So now on number 12, we already finished number 11 with invitations. Your wedding rehearsal dinner, most definitely. Those are very important things that you need to have, is the wedding rehearsal dinner, so you guys could go over, how you guys are going to walk in, if your building is not, if they have restrictions on the building that you guys are practicing in, you might could just go to a park and practice how you want everybody to walk in your wedding and stuff like that. So always have a wedding rehearsal dinner. I know there are some people out there that have multiple rehearsals. They might have 3 or 4 rehearsals before the wedding. It's all your preference, but normally, some people may have it, last minute, one last minute rehearsal when they just rehearse for hours and hours. So, it's whatever is your preference. Now, number 13. Number 13 is something very interesting. The bridal shower or the groom shower, or should I say the bachelorette or bachelor's party. You might, like, the bride might gather together the bridesmaids and the junior bride, junior groom, and flower girls, and all the ladies that are walking in the wedding. They might give out gifts at the little bridal shower or bachelorette shower. They might just go do like a little simple little dinner at a restaurant, or even at a nice little hall, at a little fancy hall or something. Or or if you're just wild and just out there, you might hire if you have a little bachelorette's party. I heard of ladies hiring male strippers. I don't know. Everyone's different. Everyone has their own preference. So, I'm not here to judge. That's your business. The groom shower, the guys might go to a bar, have some drinks, The guys that are going to be participating in the wedding might have their own little gathering. They might go to a bar. They might have some drinks. They might give out a couple gifts to each other. They might even go to the extremes. Hire a stripper. Um, it's everybody has their own little. Everybody has their own style. No judgment. Just do y'all whatever. So definitely plan for those type of events. In your wedding. I mean, that's more of outside your wedding, like before your wedding. You guys just have those special little gatherings. Or if you're extra fancy, you might gather the whole wedding party. You might have just one little casual little wedding party. You invite the groomsmen, the bridesmaids, and everybody who's participating in the wedding. And you guys might just have a little casual little dinner, and you guys might sit down and talk, eat, and give out gifts to the bride and groom. So it's whatever is your preference. So that was number 13. Now we're on number 14. Last but not least, 14, the wedding registry. I'm just gonna be real short about this because I'm going to do a video about a wedding registry. I'm not going to go in depth on this one. I'm just going to keep it simple. You could go through different sources like Target, Bed Bath and Beyond, Amazon, etc. Whatever wedding registry that you and your spouse feels comfortable with. You set it up with them. You add the items on your a whole bunch of items on your registry. And when you are planning your wedding showers and stuff like that, you leave the links on the card so your guests will know what to buy and all of that good stuff. So I really hope that all the information that I gave you guys was very helpful for your wedding. And again, I'm going to reiterate everything what I've went over so you guys won't lose me. So number 1, we're going to go over all the things. It's actually 1 through 14, but this is one major point that I really want to stick out to you as the court papers. Make sure before you even plan this big old fancy wedding, make sure you go to the courthouse near you, whatever city, state, country, wherever you're from. Go to that local courthouse and find out the steps that you need to take to get started. Have the paperwork in hand because you are going to be very busy and it's so easy to get carried away and forget the important things. So, court papers. So now we're at number 1, your budget. If you are not born with a silver spoon in your mouth, if you are on the average level like me, you need to consider a reasonable budget for your wedding. So after you pay for your wedding, you're not screaming broke. Number 2, make sure you know the number of guests you plan to invite for your wedding, most definitely. Number 3, know the theme of your wedding. If you want it blue, black, orange, I don't care. Just know the wedding theme you want. Number 4, your ceremony order. How is everybody going to walk into your wedding? The order that everyone's going to walk in. The reception order. How is everybody going to come in a reception? What you want in your reception? Do you want it in reverse order? Whatever your preference is. Number 6 is the music, the type of music. Do you want reggae music? Do you want that little sweet, little gentle, graceful music? Whatever music fits you. Number 7, this is very important, your language. If you are marrying somebody outside of your culture or race and their family speaks a whole nother language, please make sure you guys decide what you want your pastor to preach in. Do you want them to preach in English? Do you want them to preach in Spanish? Do you want them to preach in Vietnamese? You guys decide what language you want your pastor to preach in. Number 8, know the weather and the climate on your wedding day. You don't want no tornado. If you're having an outside wedding, you don't want no tornado blowing away your decorations and all what you guys paid for to get set up. Number 9, know where your wedding will be held. You need to know where your wedding is going to be. Is it going to be, at a church? Is it going to be at a rec center? Is it going to be in the backyard? You need to know where your wedding will be held. Number 10, you need to know when your wedding will be held. Make sure it's at a decent time. Don't plan it on a day that everybody's going to be working. Plan it on a day that is more convenient so more guests will come. So, basically your invitations, make sure, I don't care what type of invitations you get fancy invitations, you get plain invitations. Just make sure you mail it out at least 30 to 60 days before your wedding. So book that date, stick to the date you're talking about, make sure, back to the budget, make sure your building is secure so you can lock in a date, send out an invitation 30 to 60 days in advance based on where you're mailing off to. You might be mailing to 3 or 4 different countries. I don't know your life situation. You might, I don't know your life situation. So just please 30 to 60 days in advance due to potential delays in mail. Number 12, wedding rehearsal dinner. Make sure you do a little rehearsal so everybody will know what they're doing, everybody know where they're going, and everything is not jacked up. Number 13, your bridal shower or your groom shower, just whatever you and your spouse decides on. If you guys want to just go out with a group of friends and have some drinks, whatever, you guys do what you do. The wedding registry, make sure when you make your invitations that you include your wedding registry inside your invitations. You put down items that you and your spouse would need for your place, like, a microwave or a can opener or whatever you might need for the place. So I really hope that these tips were very helpful. What you need to know about your wedding. Again, in the description section below, I have my wedding video so you can have an idea of what you want to put into your wedding. You don't have to be exactly like mine. You got your own style. You may not want lavender for your wedding. You may have something else in mind, but seeing my video will give you some ideas of what you would want to do for your wedding. I mean, take some, look at it, take some ideas, make it your own. So again, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to my channel, and click that notification bell for more content. Thank you.